Today marks 1 year since the murder of George Floyd.
From New York to Los Angeles and places in between, cities across the country are holding rallies and marches.
Events are planned in Portland as well. This is a live look, a march that is just getting underway within the last hour or so in southeast Portland. We're told that roughly 150 people hit the streets, starting at Revolution Hall. Of course, the crowd may grow in size as the hours go on, but you can see that group gathered there on this, the 1 year, the first anniversary of the murder of George Floyd. Events scheduled in Portland throughout the evening.
And we'll, of course, keep an eye on what's happening, but we want to take a look back at the impact this has had. Months of protests, as you know, on the streets of Portland and loud cries for police reform.
Some changes have already been made, others proposed, but leaders in the black community have consistently said that more needs to be done. Fox 12's Simon Gutierrez joins us now with a closer look at where we are with police reform and where the state and city might be going.
Well, here in Portland, as we know, there have been a lot of calls to defund the police, and here and at the state level, calls for meaningful reforms across the board. Now, some of that work has been done, but there's still a lot left on the table. In the year since George Floyd's death, Portland's streets have been awash with signs and voices calling for change. And even after months of protest and conflict, the thirst for change has not been quenched.
Even with the conviction of Derek Chauvin for the murder of George Floyd, there is no justice yet. Only, frankly, work to be done to dismantle the structural racism in our nation and in our communities.
In Portland, city commissioners stripped tens of millions of dollars from the police budget with the intention of reallocating it to community-based programs led by people of color. In the state legislature, lawmakers introduced 24 different bills dealing with police reform, a handful of which have been signed into law, including a ban on chokeholds. Others are still being considered.
What we've endeavored to do this session is to build a better infrastructure that makes clear that the power of police is derived from the community. That power emanates from transparency and accountability.
The nightly protests have become semi-regular skirmishes with police. The tone has changed, with peaceful protests fewer and farther between. But the calls for change in the way Portland and the state at large is policed have not died down.
I think we have a huge opportunity here to start to change the paradigm of public safety.
And Portland Police Chief Chuck Lavelle today released a statement acknowledging the anniversary of George Floyd's death. He also acknowledged the need for the Bureau to strengthen relationships with the community, saying, quote, "We need to balance the enforcement role we have with compassion and humility and recognize our shared humanity. A journey of police reform and change is a journey we are on together, and we have to aid each other along the way." Reporting live in Northeast Portland, Simon Gutierrez, Fox 12 Oregon.